Hi, it's What's the Tea with Nikkolayla again, and I'm back at you face to face. This is the series for face to face. Anyway, I'm just going to actually talk about today is post the whole month or 30-day quote unquote challenge. Like I said, I didn't care for the word challenge, so I called it Fest, Love Fest. Anyway, so basically what the concept that I had was 30 days that I was going to, in certain situations where certain things that could probably trigger me or quote unquote piss me off or irritate me or aggravate me with people, certain things or interactions that I had, what I was going to do is I was going to love through them. And I did say that when I was going to love through them, I said, and I was really honest with myself about it. I was saying that, well, I know that I probably am going to have a reaction in the moment of it. Allow myself to have that reaction, whether what that trigger is. And what I mean by that trigger is that I could be angry or irritated or whatever. So I can feel that emotion. When you actually attempt to push the emotion that you're having down, it's not healthy. So I choose to feel it because it is coming up for me. And that is actually, I would call it an awakening, like cue. An awakening cue to let me know something's out of balance inside of me because I'm irritated or pissed off. Then I would have to go inside of myself and figure out what that is. But that's a whole nother level. But what I really wanted to do from that phase of my irritation, being pissed off, irritated, and awaken to that emotion, because I wanted to make sure that, of course, with that 30-day challenge of awareness, I wanted to put love in it. And so I was attempting to, any interaction that I might have with someone, I was going to put love in it. And, people say we're tested. I don't believe that we're tested. I just feel like that it was a necessary lesson for me to learn because I called it into my experience. And so since I called it to my experience, of course, I'm going to have some experiences where I had to love through my experiences. Now, I'm going to have to do this by flyby because I did take notes and let myself know, but this is an overall aspect of it is what I noticed is that at the beginning when I started it and I certain things that either people, I have the story. See, I knew it was going to come up. So I had to go and get some mail, right? And I had a product that was delivered to my home, and it's hot where I live, so I didn't want it in the mailbox. So I'm searching around trying to find it or whatever, and I have to go to the post office. I'm like on this travel phase of trying to find this health product that I don't want it to be in the heat because I don't want it to mess up. And it's been delivered, and it's been reported it's been delivered. So I go to different places, but I had to go to the post office. I had to go to someone's house because it was delivered to the wrong place. I mean, it was an opportunity and an ability to transform and make fun of it. Somebody else's mail got delivered to my mailbox, which is not a big thing, but it was like, okay, yeah. There was other things that happened too, but what I noticed is that each time there was a situation where I would get irritated or frustrated or whatever. I did tell the story about the pickles dropping. That was during the 30-day love challenge where I was loved in my experience and I allowed myself to love myself. It's like you have this feeling of like, oh my God, people are looking at me. And then it's like, just love yourself through stuff. So what I noticed is that I allowed myself to feel whatever I was feeling. Either I could possibly be feeling shame, or I could possibly be feeling guilt, or I could possibly be feeling irritation, or I could possibly be feeling anger. And when I say shame or guilt about something that I might have done, but I can feel it. And then if it comes up, then I can love myself through it. So it's like I was utilizing self-love. I was utilizing love for other people. And at the same time, utilizing self-love, I was utilizing, at the same time I was loving someone else, I was still loving myself also. So this whole love thing, it's like it transforms you. And what I noticed is that each time something happened, I tended to be much more freer about how my experience was. Like, I felt like for something to happen, it didn't matter what would happen. I was no longer going to a place of being pissed off. However, I still expressed what I was needed to express, but I wasn't angry about it. And I did have an experience with a family member where I had to process through some of my stuff. And I've talked about triggers in my other videos that I did originally before I started What's the Tea with Nikkolayla. And triggers are tune-ins to make sure that you are aware of what's happening to you. So triggers actually open up an opportunity for you to be compassionate to yourself and to others, to be inspirational in the moment and think on the flyby. Maybe there's something that's obviously either going on with someone else and in your inside of yourself. But to not be confined with the thought process that you've been habitually, living with, and let's just put love in it. And so that was one of the reasons why I did this particular challenge, is because to actually put love in the space of those times where inspirationally certain things are happening in your life and you're responding, well, actually sometimes reacting, but you're responding with more of love. Now, like I said before, you're still having that particular behavior, like you're either angry or pissed off or upset about that particular thing, but you take a breath and you sit back, and you might even have an outburst. Attempt to not have the outburst with the other person, but just you can also stay quiet within yourself and then just process through, especially if you become aware that you've been irritated or triggered about that particular situation. So it's kind of like, okay. Now, everybody's not at this place. Some people are at a place where they just they react. And that is a habitual behaviorism that you've been either taught or was passed on to you. I have a history in my past where, one of my parents would yell at me when I would come home. So it was kind of like, it's like, wow, you can't do anything right. And so you can carry that on in your life. And you have this consistent, that it's like a jerk reaction. And you end up passing that on in your interactions with people. And so those are the areas that you have certain situations where stuff will happen and you're triggered by them. And they're coming up from past experiences that you have. And most of the time it's from a parent. I mean, or a family member or something between the ages of 0 to 7. And so during those times, you've created in your life as an adult behaviorisms that, now that you're living in them, and if you're not completely aware that you're having those complete habitual reactions immediately, like if you have a reaction immediately and you just go fly off the handle and there's no thought process, you just don't even think about it, you don't take a breath, you don't do anything, you just have a reaction and you're pissed off and you just light somebody up by either hitting them or expressing them through calling them out of their names or anything like that. If those things are happening, those particular things are triggers, and they are consistent with your past experiences in life. There's just no way to, it just is what it is. And so for me, I've processed through a lot of my experiences with my parents, processing what my triggers are. And you honestly have to go deep within yourself and figure out what those are. And sometimes you need a little bit of help. And I'm going to be offering some services, and you'll see them coming up soon. And it will be about addressing those particular triggers. It'll be about relationships. It'll be about putting love in those places for yourself and others, being compassionate to yourself, being inspirational about your thought process and expanding through that. It'll be about putting more joy in, bringing more joy into your life. It'll be about all the things that I talk about with my show, about how we are in life, that we have the positive expressions to be able to utilize, but we have to transcend, transform, and um, change those habitual behaviorisms that we automatically have and respond with a loving, compassionate, passionate, joyful, inspirational, more kind behaviors for ourselves and others. And when we do that, we bring more of that energy into our lives. And so those are the concepts and those are the behaviors. That's one of the reasons why I started my show, to bring more of that into this life. It's like, I'd rather see more joy, more passion, more compassion, more kindness, and more love on this planet than I see the other end. We've seen enough of the anger. We've seen enough of hate. We've seen enough of all of the other things that we consistently, quite honestly, might have become numb to. Hopefully not, because there's so much out there and there's so many things happening. And I personally don't feel the need to go into what everybody is already hearing and knowing, those places of fear that bring more of that anger and hate and frustration that people are having, and irritation and separation. But everything that 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 love that brings us, that has the ability to bring everybody together, you have to find within yourself. And so it starts with you. And if you have relationships that you have in your life, like a family member, a grandfather, a grandmother, a love relationship, a child and a mother, a child and a father, those particular relationships are what create our world. And those are the roots of, and an importance that can assist everybody in this world to become better people. Well, I'm not going to say better, just more of who you really are, because you really are those things inside. There's so much love inside of each and every one of us. There's so much compassion in each and every one of us. All of the expressions and virtues that I speak about on my show, we all have them in us. And so we just have to use them. It's like, start utilizing a part of who you really are, because it comes out when you're loved. You feel love and you pass that on to someone else. When you feel joy, you pass that on to someone else. There's enough hate and anger all around this planet, and it can be transcended with more of the positivity. We've had enough negative. How about some positive? Now, I'm not saying that you get rid of the negative. It's just not going to fly away anywhere, because I even talk about that for my own self. You got to process through it, but there's a way to get through it. You can do it. I do it. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes self-love, and it takes love for others, and you can do it. So take the time for yourself. Take the time to be with you. Take the time to listen. Take the time to be quiet. Take the time. I don't want to say meditate. We hear meditation all the time in this life, and most people think meditation is like you have to sit there and be quiet. Well, sometimes you just can't be quiet. Maybe you just need to take a walk, or take a ride on your bike, or just do something that you enjoy. Take a drive. Certain things that are in life that you just enjoy, that make you happy, do those things. That's a place of meditation. If you draw, do that. If you need to express something inside of you that gives you an inspiration, that makes you happy, Be kind to yourself. Be loving. Go and do a little shopping or something like that. Stuff that makes you happy. I'm not saying go overboard, but everything in balance. But just take that time for yourself. So I'm gonna probably input another video, probably a snippet, a piece of what I've talked about in the past, maybe some self-love. I'll find it. I'm working on inspiration. That's what I love about my show. It's like, it's inspirations. Inspirations are us. So anyway, just be that, do that. Know that you are perfectly where you are, and know that you can transcend any anger or negativity that you've had in your past with family members or friends or colleagues or anyone in your life. You can put love in it, in every experience that you have, no matter what. So just stay tuned. I'm going to be offering, there will be an upcoming video where I'm going to be offering my services, so you'll know where to go. And just stay tuned, okay? Stay in love, stay in inspiration, stay in joy, stay in kindness, stay in compassion, stay in passion. You are all those things and more. So I love you, and I'm so grateful for your life. You take care. Bye now. For the next time on What's the Tea with Nikkolayla. Bye for now. Hello, everyone. I am so glad to be back, and I know that everybody, well, I don't know that everybody is out there doing all their shopping and everything. However, enjoy yourselves, be safe out there. These are perfect opportunities to practice being in your vortex if you choose to, and any opportunity is a opportunity to stay in your vortex. Well, anyway, feels like I've been away for quite some time, but my videos have been going up once per week at least. But of course, a lot of things are happening in life, and I take as many notes about my own personal expression as I can to stay on top of myself and to remain aware. I can see when there's a shift and change. Now, one of the things I did notice, I did have, I don't know if it was a rainy day. It might have been a rainy day. Anyway, so I had an experience which actually um, put in my thought process about doing an experiment. I haven't officially like another experiment, and the experiment is more like setting an intent for something. So I'm going to just share the story. So I don't remember what day it was anyway. So another experience at work. It seems as though my experiences, of course, my evolving occurs can occur anywhere. However, this is what I've noticed. When I'm either at home or out shopping or interacting with people, I have wonderful experiences. I enjoy and laugh and play, enjoy the people that I connect with in my shopping experiences, or if my energetic field is not to say anything at all, just observe. That's what I do. So it's either or. Either you got me, my energetic vibrational expression is like I'm laughing and just enjoying the other person, or I'm quiet and observing. So it can change up. I just have to go by what I'm feeling. So anyway, well, this particular experience happened at work, and I believe that I didn't have, my assistant wasn't at work. So one of the things is I was going to share that I ended up having a conversation with a gentleman over the phone, someone we work with on a consistent basis with a company. And anyway, it's been known that they tend to have temper tantrums. It's unfortunate, but that's even the owner of the company that I work for has interacted with them, and it's been years that they've had the same kind of behavior. Well, anyway, me getting on the phone with them. So I'm just going to share the story. So I end up calling. There's an interaction between an email regarding their company wanting our company to go and take a look at a product that we're the only ones that could be able to supply or bring measurements to. And so I need to connect to the owner of the building that we need to have access to measure, the product that we sell. So anyway, that was supplied to me by that person's assistant. And so when they supplied that information to me, what are you going to do with it? You're going to call, because to me, that's kind of like you've got a particular protocol. You have particular steps. It's like, we do this as a courtesy, to make sure that you're communicating. And that's just how I am. It's like, it's important to communicate and coordinate. So, basically, I leave up that message for the person who owns the building, and I don't know what happens on the other side. So I connect to the owner. So I call to find out if we can still get access, because I haven't heard back from anybody except for they say don't call, but we need access so we can measure to get the appropriate measurements for the product that you would like us to supply to you. So it's just a common sense thing. It's like, it's common sense. But the owner has a temper tantrum. So basically, before he has a temper tantrum, so he says, I don't want you calling my customers. So I'm literally on the phone with him, and he says, I don't want you calling my customers. And the next thing you know, I just comes out of my mouth was, well, first and foremost, I expressed to him, um, first and foremost, the phone number was supplied to us. So primarily, it's like, how do you expect us to get access? So how would you expect us to get access to it? I didn't say those words, but I just said, first and foremost, the phone number was supplied. So there's no way that I could have gotten the phone number if you didn't supply it to me. That's what's kind of cracking me up. I was like, he's getting angry. So, but anyway, me saying that was an extra trigger for him. So I was part of the scenario of allowing him to get triggered, which he was probably already triggered. Then I enhanced the triggering. I'm kind of cracking up because that's another thing that's just so funny. So I'm on the phone with him, and he was like, well, it sounds like you have an attitude and la 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 la. And I just said, and then he hangs up on me. I'm not so I'm so not moved by people who hang up. It's like, I'm not moved because I don't know why I'm not moved, because I don't have an emotion about it. I really am not affected because I'm not offended. If you hang up on me, that's on you. I'm working on assisting you, but because I triggered you, I get it. I get it. So that was your trigger, but it's still your stuff. So I don't have any hangups about, you hanging up. It's like, okay, well, that's on you. I'd have to tell another story about being hung up on before, but it's not a big deal to me. Not like I expect to be hung up on, but it doesn't move me at all, not one bit. To me, it just reveals where the person is in their maturity level. And usually people who have, and this is what I've learned in my own experience, usually people who have temper tantrums um, tend to have not have they somewhere in there they missed something. Or I can't say they missed something. I'll say that somewhere in their relationship with their parents, they either got what they wanted, and it was concrete. Or if they didn't get what they wanted, they would have a temper tantrum. So basically what I'm saying is their coping abilities are very limited, and it creates an experience that is they're just consistently triggered. Now, in this time frame of where we're experiencing changes and that kind of stuff coming up for people, it's unfortunate, but it's good at the same time. Some people have chosen to take a harder road. And one of the reasons why I'm saying this is it's kind of like it's very beneficial for parents to assist children on the ability to cope with what they don't get. If you're having a child that's having a temper tantrum and they're just losing it, they're like on the floor, be wise about that. Because if they don't master having coping abilities for not having something that they get or not liking the reaction that some person gives to them, life has the ability of being difficult because you get those lessons at a younger age. Now, I'm not saying that, I know that I was used to getting stuff that I wanted, but my mother did a good job with me. My grandmother not so great. I was a brat. With my grandmother. It wasn't with my mom. And the reason why I'm honestly telling that is because I remember my behavior in comparison how I was with my mother, because my grandmother didn't give me a boundary space and didn't say no, you can't have that, and that's what I'm saying, no. So she didn't do that. So sometimes if you don't tell a child no, sometimes they will, you have the ability of creating a relationship where they think they can have whatever. And I'm not saying that children shouldn't have things. However, there is a boundary. You have to create a boundary. And this is very healthy. But anyway, I'm going to go back to the scenario. So anyway, from what I got from the experience of this man is he didn't get that in his training. So he's been living a life of being triggered by something, um, somebody, a parent in his life either had, because the first thing that came out of his mouth is, well, you have an attitude. Okay. We have whatever's in your vortex is going to come out, whatever you've placed inside of there. So this is what he's placed inside of there. It just so happens I was part of his scenario this time. Now, I take full responsibility for myself, for my own actions. For my own actions, that's why I was saying it's an experiment, because I also had the ability to not trigger him. Now, not knowing that was a particular trigger, because I didn't know that that was a particular trigger for him. I wasn't really expecting that. And I was just being truthful and honest. And I was saying, I couldn't have gotten that phone number if it wasn't given to me. So something happened in the communication lines. But neither here nor there. I take full responsibility for my own actions. So, interestingly enough, as I process through this information, because like I said, I'm mastering myself. So, as I master myself, I have chosen to set the intent to say, when someone says, something that could possibly be a trigger to them, or, I don't have to know that there's going to be a trigger to them. I just say, okay, like if you can see something getting ready to escalate, you just say, okay, and you just let it go. However, excuse me, there are certain situations where, of course, you're going to be honest and truthful about what your how you're interacting with people. You're just going to be honest and forthright. And some things definitely need to be said, even if you have no idea whether it's going to trigger somebody or not. You just don't know. But in order for it to not escalate, you can just say, okay, so that is part of the experiment that I'm planning on setting up, just to, so there's no escalation of anger or irritation. And that is to master myself, not to soften that person's trigger, because it's not about that. I'm not here to make stuff softer for someone, just like no one else is here to make it softer for me, because I might have certain kind of triggers, and I have had certain kind of triggers. And that's some other stories. I'll have to talk about my last assistant. Oh my gosh, she freaking triggered me like gangbusters before I got to this place right here. Um, but anyway, but also the triggers that are triggering you are your triggers. They're triggering you for you. So those people in your life that do trigger you, they're your best teachers. It would seem like that would be like, what? Are you kidding me? They're my best teachers. Oh yeah, they're your best teachers. I'm going to tell this story because it's coming up to me. I remember that I was going to a church, and my mom was going to that church as well. And then I had this desire to go to some other kind of church just to visit, and I liked that church so much. Oh my God, I was like, this is the one. This I need to come here. And so, but I liked the one that I was going to so much. I really, really liked it, and I enjoyed it, and I felt like I was being fed, as they say. And so I got into a conversation with my mother, and she was actually going to the church as well, but we weren't going to at the same time and together because we went at different times. And so, anyway, so I get into a conversation with my mother, and I'm sharing with my mother, oh, I really went to this church. I went to this church, and, I actually had gone to an early service, so I wouldn't miss the church that I already had. And then I went to the service that was happening for this other church after I went to my current church. And so I went there, and like I said, I just like loved it. I loved it. The second church that I went to, I'm just like, oh my God, I have to come back here. I'm like, I'm hooked. Oh my God, this is amazing. It's an amazing experience, and it was a prophetic church. Well, anyway, so I get in a conversation with my mother, and my mother says to me, well, don't go. And I was like, oh, no, I'm going. So sometimes some triggers are definitely what will push you forward, because your highest sovereign self knows exactly what you need on this plane of existence to move you forward to what is most beneficial for your life. So I know it's not a complete vortex story, but I thought it was really interesting because it's really, really important for people that are in your life sometimes, that that'll push you to that next level or push you to that next place, and it's like you're saying the opposite of something like, well, don't go to that new church, just keep going to this one. And it's like, no, I'm doing it. And so it was kind of like, it's like you get that kind of opposite psychology thing, but it's not purposely done. It's just so funny. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. And I think I'm pretty much we're good. I will get back to more vortex talking. If anybody out there has a question or a comment or whatever, and maybe I can expand off of some things that are coming through as I move along my personal journey. If you have a personal journey that you're expressing or you're experiencing yourself, and you've decided to listen to Abraham Hicks videos, I encourage you. Now, I just watched a video recently, and it had to do with, this is adding on to that, um, a portion of the conversation that was had with this person while they were getting interviewed. So it was Tiffany Haddish. And one of the things that she talked about, and I haven't read her book, um, but she actually was talking about her good thoughts, and how she's changed her thinking, like she changed her thinking. And I'll post that particular interview on there. And at the 13th like probably like 13-minute to 18-minute. You know, this might not work out for some people and it might work for some people. You know, she does cuss. Who cares? I mean, I don't judge. There's no judging. So yeah, she has some good information about, your thoughts. Literally, she talks about pretty much your thoughts or things. She's talking about creation. She's talking about the ability. She's not saying vortex, but this is exactly what she's talking about. And the reason why she's become so, I don't care for the word successful, but her vibration and frequency has increased and moved up. And she seems as though she's a very humble, straightforward, in your face, honest, truthful person. So in that expression, it's like, but she's done certain things to work on herself to get to where she's at. She's taken the time to work on herself. So anyway, I'll post that particular video over there if anybody wants to ever watch that. But like I said, it's the 13-minute to 18-minute time frame, and then she kind of touches on it again. Like, her life is transformed because of her changing her thinking about herself. So the more you love yourself, the more you talk to yourself in a very much more kinder way, and you put more good things into your vortex and you connect into that space, the more goodness is going to come into your life. I just know it because it's happening for me. And I have wonderful, beautiful, kind, loving family and friends around me. And it's because I'm doing my own work on myself and I'm mastering myself. And I'm so utterly grateful. And I'm grateful for you, whoever watches, and I'm grateful for who doesn't watch. I'm just grateful and I'm appreciative of where I'm at and where I'm going and what I'm doing. And as the grace and ease and peace and prosperity transforms my life, because I have the ability to speak it into existence with perfect love for myself and all of creation, and even you. I love you and I'm grateful for your life. And I wish you well. And I send you Prime Source Creators good vibrations of love and peace. Oh, last thing regarding that guy with a temper tantrum expression, what I did do also is that I surrounded him with Prime Source Creators green and pink light of love because I needed to do my part spiritually to know that I have no hard feelings for him, no anger, no hate. There's nothing out of order, nothing of unwell wishes for his life because he's me, I'm him. We're all created from the same place and in love. So anyway, I wish you the best and I send you love. Send you Prime Source Creators love. Mwah. Everybody take care. You stay well and stay in your vortex. Woo! Be good to you.